Hey, that's
And
it.
we're back.
And we're back. Second round now. Yeah, let's go. Just start it from the top.
Well, you'll get replay, so you can go listen to it again.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, let's answer some questions now.
Cool.
Okay, Dragon asks, is it as hot over there as it has been over here? It feels like Texas outside. It was hot for us a couple weeks ago, but not that hot. It was like 30 C. The last couple days have been pretty cool. It's like 15.
It was raining this
Celsius
morning,
out,
so
but yeah.
To answer your question, no, it's not Texas here. It's Canada.
Yeah.
It's been nice so far, but I think the next bit of summer is going to be rough.
Yeah.
What was the most challenging song for each of you to make?
Oh, I had to think about this while we were listening.
Also, if you have more questions, start posting
please,
them now.
Comments, questions, feel free to put them in the chat.
Yeah, no, I have to think about this.
I don't. So
Okay, great.
Okay, you start.
For me, it was, well, I guess there were kind of two. The bridge section to Death is like quite a long tapping line that I was writing, and most of the times when we write, I'll have like an idea, and then before we go record it, I'll like pitch it to Trevor and make sure it works out in the song. So I was working on that a lot as like kind of a harmony to what the strings were doing, and when it came time to like actually do the recording and stuff, we found out it wasn't really working the way that I had intended, but it was like sort of working. So we had to reorganized a bunch of the stuff, and I think it worked out really well, but it was definitely like it was a difficult part to perform, and there was like a lot of intricacies to it. I think it turned out really well, and I'm happy that we did it the way that we ended up with what we ended up with, but that was probably the most difficult part. Or the solo in Resurrection, which is it's just it's tricky. I think it was good that it happened, but it was still hard.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't quite hear it in the mix of Resurrection, the end part, the guitar and bass are both doing it together.
Yeah, it's a dual solo.
It's like a dual solo. It's really fun, but
I'm just laughing as I browse some upcoming questions. If I'm laughing, that's normal. Everybody knows that. It's fine.
Next question.
Oh, no,
sorry. Yeah, you go.
Do you have an answer? Okay.
I have an answer, but do you?
Yeah. I was thinking, actually, when I saw this question come up on the chat, and for me, it always usually comes down to one song on the album that I get absolutely stumped on the lyrics for. It happened on every single album, and for this album, it was actually the Take Back, which is track 3.
The J-Rock
song.
On
Resurrection. Yeah, track 3 on Resurrection. And there was just something about the lyrics as I was writing them that weren't quite right. Like, I knew what I wanted the song to be about, but for some reason when I was writing it, it wasn't quite coming out right. Like, the verses didn't line up with the chorus the way I wanted it to. So I think that was the final one that I finalized lyrics for on the whole album. And so yeah, that was the biggest challenge for me writing wise, was just the lyrics of that song.
I think for me it was Wisteria. We went through quite a few rounds of revisions with that song.
Yeah.
We had quite a few different parts. There was like a whole outro guitar solo that we completely cut. The key change was added later. The drums were kind of like redone partway through. So it was just like, it was one of those songs that I knew needed to be on there. And as I was writing it, I was like, this is so close, but there's just something that was like, this isn't it. And then we finally, kind of once we got to vocals, that kind of finalized it. But for me, Wisteria was probably the rest of the songs I would say actually came pretty naturally and kind of flowed.
They kind of came together.
Just how they were meant to be. But Wisteria took a little bit of a elbow grease to figure that one out.
Yeah, that's true, for sure.
Were there any songs that almost didn't make it onto the album? I don't think so.
Did we cut? There was a song we started that we didn't follow through with back in the beginning.
Yeah, we had like a demo. I think we had 1 or 2 demos that we were kind of thinking was going to be on this album, but we ended up shelving them because they just didn't fit the vibe. So you might hear those one day.
Yeah, I think The Throne I almost didn't want to put it on.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk about The Throne in our documentary. But I thought that was like an outlier. Maybe part of that was like being self-conscious. Maybe another part of that was like, it's just a lot different than I think what we've done before. But I'm really glad it did make it because, once we got almost to the final stage of putting the album together, all of a sudden that song made sense to me then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like after the vocals had been recorded, after we were just trying to finalize like tiny details, then I was like, yeah, this song should definitely be on the album. But I was not feeling it for a long time.
I actually had to fight
Yeah,
for
you
that
had to
song
fight
a lot.
for it.
I was like, no, it's gonna be like it fits and it's gonna be sweet, and like especially when it comes together in the mix and stuff. So
But now it's like definitely like one of my favorites. I mean, but it's so hard to pick one.
yeah.
Great question.
Yeah. So next question. Wade, do you want to read this one?
When is Wade gonna marry a drummer for you guys? Working on it. Someone asks, what do you hope listeners feel or visualize when they hear this album from start to finish?
I almost think that, I would really encourage us to watch the documentary before we answer this. Because
Yes.
we do answer that question in our documentary, and I don't want to spoil it because we got a lot to say.
Yeah, that documentary is like, I think 45?
It's
50
55 minutes.
It's quite long, so it'll have a bunch of answers, and we'll talk about... we maybe won't answer some of these questions if they're answered in it.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe we can like circle back if we need to.
When's the next album? Great question. It's August 22nd.
that is
August
when it's coming out.
22nd.
That is the next album.
Rick, we haven't even gotten this
Yeah,
one out,
come on, man. Give us a
Appreciate
break.
your enthusiasm, but give us a break here.
What's next after the album drops? Live concerts? Question mark.
Question mark?
Well, some of our fans know, Beth and I have been in the process of immigrating to America for a little while. We actually, almost 2 years, and we finally have a moving date. We are moving September 1st. So that changes nothing with the band, but it does open up a lot more opportunity for potential shows or other things like that. So that is hopefully in the cards come fall. I don't know, but we're going to release this album first, and that's what's next on the docket. And then we're going to keep writing the next album and whatever comes next and see where life takes us.
Yep, that's right. So hopefully more things. More things are coming.
Okay, in regards to Wisteria, Dustin said, so this parallels Exile, right? Same position on the album. It's not quite the same. It is one track later. In Exile is track 4. Wisteria is track 5. Wisteria was actually initially supposed to be track 4, but we moved it. It was supposed to be Wisteria and then the Throne, but we put the Throne in front of Wisteria because we thought the Throne into Bring a Sword into Overcome and its intro song was a lot of similar sounding tones and things like that. So we thought Wisteria needed to shift back just to be a bit of a break,
yeah, like a bit of
some
a break.
brevity,
that
kind of thing. Yeah.
In terms of the songs that do parallel each other, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Do you want to take that? Because lyrically and stuff you were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this whole album is, it is kind of like a concept album without trying to be a concept album. And I've been meaning to. I haven't had a chance to sit down and actually map out how all of these songs parallel each other. But I'm sure after hearing them back to back, you can see how all of these songs kind of link and talk to each other. And there's even some callbacks in some of the lyrics, like in Anhedonia, talking about, like, I can't seem to pull myself out of the storm that I see up ahead of the clouds that loom overhead, is actually a callback to Storm Brewing on Inviting Warfare. And so not only this album kind of talk to each other, they do also kind of speak back to our previous work, because Trevor and I at least have kind of felt like this is like a reboot in a way. There is a bit of like some repeated concepts, but they're refreshed and new, if that makes sense. So I can't be like, point A, point B, point C links to this, but I am hoping to map that out. It's just going to be a huge project for me.
Yeah, and I think like from a musical standpoint, obviously Death and Resurrection link together.
Yes.
They are the opposite of each other, and you can listen, when the album's out, you can listen to the intro song of Death, Into Death, which flows right into the intro song of Resurrection and to Resurrection. So it actually is kind of like it's like 20-minute. It's kind of like a 20-minute song if you listen to it all the way through.
Right.
And then, so those all link, and then Anhedonia and Overcome are directly supposed to link together. There's the melodies of both songs in the intros of both songs and stuff. So.
And then Overcome ends exactly the same way.
And Overcome ends with the intro song, The Descent. So the last little kind of harp piano part you hear is the intro of the album. So it's supposed to be able to listen to the album on kind of repeat, and it just links back to the start, and you just kind of keep it going again.
Yeah.
Dragon says, how would you handle the parts where voices overlap when playing live?
Depends on the scenario.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different ways you can go about it depending on like the venue and what have you.
Yeah, totally.
You can have them played as tracks. Sometimes people will say that sounds a little bit less realistic than when you have instruments on tracks. So you when you can, you like to have multiple singers doing that. So Trevor and I will definitely be providing backup vocals for definitely some of the layers. Some of the layers are like how large are they?
Some of them are like 45 40 stacks of vocals
like
and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
that's not possible.
So we'll probably always add our vocals in live, but we'd probably do like backing tracks. That's what most bands do nowadays, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's just like a backing track. I mean, we're not going to have our full orchestra with us every show and stuff like that too, right? So
what do you mean? If we can't do an orchestra, I'm not playing.
We'll be playing with a backing track to kind of facilitate
for sure.
as much as that is necessary.
Yeah, that's right.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, that's a great answer. Am I still singing into the closet? Rick wants to know. Yes and no. Half of this album we recorded, actually, our church was so generous and they gave us a room to record most of this album in. But then it happened to be under a daycare. So come school time, we couldn't do vocals, underneath the daycare for obvious reasons. So some of it was, yes, still sung into my closet. But I'm hoping that I can have an actual singing booth when we move to America. But hey, what was it matter if it sounds good, Sounds good.
Yeah. Dragon asks, how is Hugs doing? I missed that guy. He's right here.
You can ask him yourself.
How are you?
That's his hand.
I'm good.
Great.
He's good.
Cool. Oh, this one's for you, Beth.
Oh, Maddox wants to know where you buy your clothes from and why wants to know who sings the songs. Am I reading that right?
Yep.
All right.
I sing the songs.
Absolutely.
Can't you tell?
Me and Wade sing the songs and Beth does nothing.
I don't do anything, actually. I'm an AI. I'm not even a real human.
Just a super advanced generated AI.
Yeah, but we can't tell anybody because then we'd be too popular and mainstream and then you guys would want to listen to our music, Where do we buy our clothes?
Yeah, Wade buys his shirts from us.
Yep. StandsOnSapphires.com.
Yep.
This one's not available anymore. You missed the boat. Sorry.
We buy ours in Japan.
We buy our clothes in Japan.
Yep.
Mostly. Or, online.
Yep.
Maddox, thanks. If you want me to take you out for a dress up date, just let me know. Just let your dad know, and he can be like, no, absolutely not.
No, he'd be into it. Ricky Jr. wants to know, how long did it take you to come up with the album name and song titles?
Oh. I mean...
The name was like right off the bat.
Well, okay, the name was a joint effort. Like our album names are already... Why don't you explain,
Well, we came up with the concept of death and resurrection.
Yeah,
and pitched it to you.
Yeah,
and then you were immediately with the.
They came into it, approached me, saying, "Hey, this is our general theme about how we're gonna the concept for the album and the themes inside of it, and we really want to call it Death and Resurrection." And so I said, "Hey, I think that just Death and Resurrection by itself is less of a good title. I think we should have a word, comma,
linking.
Or not comma, a word, colon, death, a word."
Yeah.
And then after they explained what the album was about, I was like, "Oh, that's Anhedonia. We should call it Anhedonia. That would sound cool." And then they were like, "Let me look that up."
Yeah, it was a new word for me too, Dragon. It was a new word for me too.
Yeah.
I think in terms of naming the songs, most of the time they kind of name themselves, to be honest. We're not one of those bands. It's, from the emo days when it's I Write Sins Not Tragedies, or it's some long title. We usually just kind of name them after what the song is.
The only difference between suicide and martyrdom is press coverage.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you'll hear in the documentary, but each song was kind of based off an emotion or certain things, and a lot of the time that basis ended up being the name. Exile, Overcome, the Take Back was kind of based off of Taking Back, right? So it's it kind of just fell into place naturally.
Yeah, there's a few, on every album I want to name a song after a flower. We have Bloom and Wisteria and Orchid on the last album, and so I knew I wanted to name one of the songs after a flower on this album, and it just happened that the album artwork had a wisteria flower on it, in the skull on the resurrection half, so I just felt like it had to be that. And then yeah, the throne obviously isn't. I thought about calling it Stands on Sapphires, but Trevor's like, we're not naming a song after the same as our band, and yeah, there's a more of a story behind naming it the throne, but that is what I felt that song needed to be named. And then on the back of our album art is actually a throne, so it kind of just worked out really well.
Yeah. How do these song ideas usually start? Were there any ideas that came about in unique ways?
Ooh, great question.
Usually it starts with like a riff, like I'm kind of just playing guitar, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's cool, and then kind of build off of that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it'll be, you know, one of us hears a song, and it's like, oh man, I want to do something like in that style. Like for me, whenever I'm writing, if a song like really inspires me, it's like, ooh, I make a note of it. Of like, I want to make a song in this style. Like it's like an inspiration of like, I'm not gonna copy it, but it's like, well, I like the vibe. I like what they're doing here. Yeah. I'd love to take a stab at like doing our style in this context, right? But I don't think there's anything that really came about in unique ways. I can't think of like a crazy, oh wow, that just kind of like happened.
Because that was a little different from how we usually write, but you'll see that in the documentary.
Yeah. I think the throne is the other outlier because
the throne and the exile were kind of similar. And I would say the take back also, because those are the three that kind of naturally worked on together initially, which is usually different from just kind of starting it, sending it to you guys, and working on it. Overcome was also a bit of an enigma, or not an enigma, just like that word came to me that day. You went out and I wrote the whole song, like in the day you were gone.
Just as like a pause. Yeah. Magical things seem to happen when I leave. Like, and you'll see this again
in the documentary.
It's like every time I leave, somehow they're like, this amazing thing came about, and I'm like, okay, so I think you're trying to tell me something here. The throne actually, like, I won't like spew a lot about it, but I had written the lyrics for that song actually at the same time that we wrote our first songs, Never Getting In and My Affliction, and it was just never the right time. So that one came about more interesting because I had already had all the lyrics and like a rhythm in my head, an idea of like how I wanted the rhythm of the song to go, that like da 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 da, and so that one was like definitely different for us than usual.
Actually, just one more that came to my head, Stasis. I wrote that song back in high school, which was like over a decade ago. So,
I didn't even know you.
Yeah, we didn't even know each other. I wrote like not the lyrics, but just the music of it. I'd already written, and then we actually planned on putting that on Inviting Warfare. And we cut it, and we were like, no, it just doesn't fit. And then it just kind of fit with this one. So Stasis, the acoustic song.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Maddox wants to know how many albums you've made. 3.
Thanks, Maddox.
Emmett wants to know.
and one EP.
No, we don't have an EP.
Sort of.
Emmett wants to know what your favorite song is on the album.
That will be answered in the documentary.
Yep.
We're really pushing that you guys stay and watch that.
Stay and watch the documentary.
To be honest, though, they're all amazing. I can't really pick like one.
There's one that I think is like all of our favorites,
but
then like everything else is too.
It's like they're all tied for second after that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do we want to launch into the documentary now? And there's a couple of other things. Do we want to save that for the final Q&A, or do we want to keep going with them now?
Why don't we answer a few more, and then we'll watch the documentary, and we can finalize them at the end. How's that sound?
Sure.
Okay.
Dustin just made a comment that track arrangement seems really good. We put a lot of thought into how we want to lay this out, and like we talked about, each song, and you'll hear in the documentary, each song is based off an emotion, and then we kind of wanted the album to descend and then rise. Yeah. So that was the whole thing of Death needed to be the last song of Death, and then Resurrection the first song, because that's the start, and then Overcome was kind of like the final thing, and then Anhedonia was the start of Death, like the start, oh man, we're feeling Anhedonia, which begins the, So, we put a lot of thought into that, and then kind of like what emotion would come after this, and what emotion would come, okay, like that's the order, and then musically it also just kind of fell into place.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Dragon just said he liked how we set up the stream with like the spooky hands and stuff. You know, I'll lob this stuff to Trevor because I'll just put like a thing on the screen. I'm like, good to go. And he thinks of these awesome like little artistic things to do. So thanks for noticing.
It's gotta be on brand, baby.
Thank you for noticing. Yeah, this is our first. Some of you guys commented on the acoustic song Stasis. That is our first ever legit acoustic song. Like we've done some acoustic like songs in the past, but this is just Trevor and I and a little bit of drums and cello, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that was a first for us. Glad you guys liked it.
One sec. There we go. Let's see. There's just something so cool. One of the comments was just something so cool about the songs that fit perfectly together. Well, great, because we do a lot of that.
We try really hard.
Yeah, I hope you like the album. We really like songs that kind of like link together, and yeah, some of our favorite bands do that, and yeah, it does make it more than just a playlist, right? It makes it a piece of art, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Our goal is always to, well, we're artists, make art.
Yep.
Duh.
Exactly.
Great. Okay, so how about we move on to our documentary, and then when we come back, we will answer any final questions, and stick around.
Cool. Documentary. Let's go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody. Welcome back, everyone.
That's it.
Kampai. We made it through.
We
Thanks
did it.
for sticking and watching the documentary.
Yeah.
Hope we answered some of your burning questions that you didn't ask, but you know, they were there. They were there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to finish up a quick Q&A, and then after that, we've got a surprise for you guys.
Yeah.
I was here.
He has been
He
off
was
camera
here.
most of the time.
Yes.
I was in the corner.
Yes.
I didn't want to overshadow anybody.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You can take some credit. Your name was in the credits.
yeah.
There you go.
You were doing
Hugs
a lot of
did.
talking, all the filming.
All the
like,
filming,
All the
yeah.
filming.
Yeah, who's this disembodied
much
voice
filming.
in all of these
Yeah.
So
clips?
much filming. When Beth was making that, I got a text being like, "Hugs, thank you for this footage. Also, please never film me again."
Please.
That second part is not what we said, but it was 500 gigs.
You're editing it the next time.
500 gigs of footage.
I think is that where you sent me the video of Trevor you scrolling, and it took you a minute to scroll the footage?
That was Japan.
Hugs took photos and video of us in Japan, and I had to scroll, and literally regular scrolling at a decent speed took me like 2 minutes to get to the bottom of the photos. I was like,
He's nothing if not
there's like
thorough.
10,000 photos here.
You gotta
Much
catch the
appreciated.
moment.
You
Yeah,
do.
that was so
Every
good.
angle.
But then when you're editing it, it's like, how do
Yeah,
I
then
turn
you're like,
40
I know.
hours of footage into 50 minutes? Yeah, that was a challenge, but it was really good. And thank you for helping us film that writing trip. That was 2.5 years ago now. Crazy.
Yeah, I know. Even looking at the footage, I'm like, man, we look so young.
I know. I was like, oh, my wrinkles hadn't set in.
My beard was one color.
What is it now?
It's two colors.
Awesome. All right, why don't we start at the top from questions?
Sure.
Anybody?
Couple last questions. This one's definitely for Trevor. Now I'm curious as to what the artwork is made using, since it seems to be able to be both used as a 2D cover, which is what the album is, and then a 3D video stuff, which is what Trevor's been working on.
Today. Yeah, so the album was made basically in like a Photoshop-like program, and it's what we call, like graphic design, we call photo composition. So basically what I did is I grabbed a bunch of different photos, and I cut out pieces of each photo and then put them together to make it look like it's all of it's just one photo itself.
Right.
So it's like a style a lot of Photoshop artists do. And then the 3D aspect was done in our video editor. Basically, it's like a parallax effect. It kind of splits the art into like different layers and moves them at different paces, so it gives it kind of a 3D depth look. But it's not actually 3D. It's all just a bunch of 2D panes stacked in different sequential order, moving at different speeds, which gives it that 3D effect. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Trevor's done all of the graphic work for this album.
For all the
For all the albums.
For everything.
For all of
everything.
eternity. Yeah, from the very beginning. But yeah, this one specifically has been like a year or two of you working on different kinds of graphics and stuff for this album. So yeah, great question.
Yeah, great question.
Dave wants to know any chance of the band playing here in the States at some point. Yeah, Dave, we talked about this a little bit earlier. I think you came in late. Trevor and I are actually in the process of moving to the States in September, and we're hoping that will open up a field of opportunity for us to do shows, whether that's locally on the West Coast or throughout America. It's a little hard to tour in Canada because we're pretty spread out, a lot of land mass, not a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we are hoping that this next step of our life will open up the doors for that. We will absolutely let people know when that comes to pass.
Yeah. Dragon says Trevor wears glasses. I do. I shattered the illusion that I wear contacts.
You're pretty blind.
Yeah, I am very blind. You used to be blind. Now,
yeah, I
so
got laser eyes.
We all used to wear glasses.
I still wear them because I'm lazy.
Yeah.
Now we just have to follow Wade's lead.
I don't wear glasses.
Yeah.
But do you need glasses?
Technically, no.
Not if I don't know that I need them.
No.
From a distance, maybe.
Maybe.
That's the one you need them for the most. For driving. Anyway, before we get in any more trouble, Dragon asks, how long is an average clothes shop for you guys?
Depends on the shop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it's in Japan, it's probably like an hour.
Yeah, minimum an
It
hour
could be a
per
while.
shop.
Some places, like, we like to go in and just have, like, a very, like, suss out what's going on there. And
Some shops
it's
we
very
know.
vibe dependent.
Yeah, some shops we know some people and they
Yeah.
hang out with us and yeah. Dave says the three of you sound great together, but has the band had any luck in getting a drummer besides the guy who played with you in Japan? I wouldn't say no luck because we haven't really been looking. It's we're so tight, the three of us, that it's not like a priority. And there's lots of bands who do what we do, and they have a studio drummer and they program their own drums and stuff. So not that we're not open to it, but it's just if the opportunity presents itself, then great. But if not, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We live in a time where obviously technology enables us to do what we do without it. And Trevor does, in fact, play the drums a little bit. So
Yeah, I mean...
he can't do all three on stage, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so this one is from Rich and Alice. Has there ever been a moment when the three of you had an inspiration for a song that was precisely the same, but did not know the others had the same idea? Wow, that's a really deep question. I don't know if that's happened.
I think that there's it's tough to say because there's never been a time for me where I've been like, there's only one thing that I've ever really wanted to work on. Like I have at all times an approximate idea of many things that I want to be doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like in songs. So at certain times Trevor will say like, let's do this thing, and then I can pick, some random thing that I was like, oh yeah, I was thinking about this in this context, but it's never been like I'm hyper focused on one thing and then that thing has been the thing that Trevor has been hyper fixated on. It's always like kind of always having a bunch of ideas going at any one time. And sometimes I don't have ideas for things and I have to create them, but sometimes you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that that's necessarily happened. There are definitely times where we get together to write and we're all kind of on the same page. Like we're like, I was thinking the next thing should be, X, Y, Z. But no, we haven't simultaneously but separately all have the same inspiration. Maybe one day.
Not yet.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Ricky Jr. says, now I'm curious, what was the hardest part of putting together this awesome documentary? Beth is the one who edited the whole thing.
Wow. The hardest part, I think, of making any kind of visual media is walking that line of sharing the story that we want to share while also making sure that it's, relatable and entertaining for the people watching it. I've watched so many documentaries or even just footage of things that I'm like, I can tell that it means so much to them, but I'm not really following. And so my goal with this was I want to tell the story of us writing this album, but I also want people to see who we are in writing this. And I really was, I guess my way to make this all come together was that footage you see of us with the little lamp that Dragon said he liked was something we recorded in January. And I just, kind of rapid fired have us answer questions that I knew I wanted to cut back into the documentary to kind of make that, that cohesive element to it. And so the biggest challenge is just is just making it that those two things, entertaining but also honest, and maybe, you know, sorting through 500 gigabytes of footage it's hard because there were so many wonderful moments that you know, we could have picked from, but it's about telling the overall story. Yeah. What was the most challenging thing about filming us?
Storage.
Yeah, I did have a point where my phone stopped filming because I ran out of space and I had to export everything off of it. So we had a small hiccup of a day that I wasn't able to capture, but I got the rest of the 7 days.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think, yeah, it was just finding extra stuff because it's so easy to film them doing things, but then making sure you're finding the other small moments too, not just the record, like, oh, we're writing a song, because we have 500 gigabytes of footage, but a lot of it is Trevor, Wade, and Beth sat at a table dissecting a song for like an hour and a half, which you don't need to see all of that,
right?
But you have to capture it because there could be some section where a conversation comes up that is like, that's the thing that sparks the song, and if you didn't capture it, then that wouldn't be needed for the documentary kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but then on top of that, it's like, oh, how do we get, you know, good B-roll footage, or in the, like, capturing the vibe of what was going on there too, because it wasn't just about the writing, it was the experience of doing the trip and trying this new process of writing and things like that, so making sure we capture that properly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Dustin asks, do you think you guys would publish a song's tablature or do a walkthrough of how to play it? We did that for Bloom. We did a bunch of like playthrough videos.
Yeah, we didn't really like dissect what we were doing.
No.
We kind of did talk about that and talked about doing tabs for stuff. I think if there was an extreme amount of demand that we would want to do it, but it's unbelievable amount of effort to,
especially to tab something.
Yeah, especially tabbing it. Like
filming
having
something and walking through. Is
is a little easier, but tabbing stuff is like quite an exhausting task to do. It takes a really long time.
Yeah.
So that's not to say that it would never be on the table, but it's likely that unless there was a very high demand for it, that it would ever happen.
Yeah, I think things like that, we have lots of things we want to do one day, but we really have to make sure that it's, you know, going to be worth the time to put in, that people are going to want it, you know? So maybe one day. Cool. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, King Nothing says, it looks like Trev and Beth's faith are a huge part of writing music.
Yeah.
How does that mesh with Wade's beliefs, inspiration, and writing processes?
That's a good question.
I think, like, yeah, for us, obviously, our faith is, like, the key factor of why we're doing this. And, you know, Wade obviously doesn't share the same faith. We've talked about that. But I think it's, I mean, you can talk to how it informs your writing process. But I think it's cool, like, one thing I like is there's so much division going on in the world that it's cool that, you know, maybe we don't share same beliefs, but we're still all best friends. And we still do this together. And, you know, it's a big factor of why we're doing what we're doing, but you're part of it for a different reason, and you're still having, you know, as much fun, and you're just part of the band, hopefully, and like we're all just as proud of every song, and
yeah, I think I kind of maybe alluded, well, in a very roundabout way, alluded to this in the documentary, but I think for me, the reason why I'm doing it is just that it's because I think it's important. Like, there's kind of and I want to say it, and people will think that I'm talking about the last 10 years or something, but it's been happening for like maybe hundreds or thousands of years, is where it's like humans view art as like a skill, as something you do, instead of something that just humans do.
Yeah.
And I really like the concept that, like, you know, bees make hives because they're bees. And I like the idea that humans make art because they're humans. And it's not,
great.
Right? So a lot of that is kind of influences why I like doing it. And I really just, I want to be doing it because I think that's a thing that all people should do in some aspect. And for me, this is the way that I express that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Thanks for asking. No, you guys nailed it.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Anything else here?
Yeah, Dave, I just want to say I've seen a lot of your comments, even sharing about your faith too, and thank you for being honest about that. And yeah, you know, like, you know, we say it's a part of what we do, but to me, it's the reason. It's the reason for everything. So yeah, thank you for being so encouraging. I appreciate that.